Join us for a review of the all-new Range Rover Evoque. Let's go! In the front here, the new Evoque somewhat stayed the same. You can still see it's an Evoque, yes, but everything is, let's say, more seamlessly integrated. A very flat front here as well. There's not an element which really stands out. Still, then, those very slim headlamps, LED daytime running light, they come with LED as standard. The length is at 4.37 meters, 14'3" or 172 inches, which is kind of the same as the previous generation. A slight increase in wheelbase, and wheels are available from 17 to 21 inch. These ones here are 18-inch winter tires, so they look a little bit more balloonish because of winter tires, but still I think the size is quite good. It's a good compromise. Interesting are also the door handles, which stand out, but when you close the vehicle they actually fold in and everything is then seamlessly integrated. Interesting, definitely better also for wind efficiency, but then again it's also making stuff a little bit more complicated, so you have to also bear that in mind. So what do you think here as for the design? As for the rear, there's also this very modern contemporary look here with a very slim LED signature. So the Evoque indeed had a paradigm change as for the design in the previous generation already. So beforehand, all Land Rover, Range Rovers were done, let's say, in a timeless design. With this Evoque, everything switched to a more contemporary design. Engines, yay! We got hydraulic struts to put that one open. So 2-liter 4-cylinder engines. P200 all-wheel drive, that's the one we see here, with 200 horsepower, and also the other namings are just according to the horsepower. Well done. So P250 means also 250 horsepower, also all-wheel drive, and P300 all-wheel drive, so those are the petrol engines. And all-wheel drive now with the active driveline means a decoupling of the rear axle when it's not needed, so it's front plus rear on demand. 9-speed automatic gearbox, soon more to that while driving. Then there's a diesel, also 2-liter 4-cylinder, D150, front-wheel drive and manual hand drive 6-speed. That's the only one, that's the exception, and also the only one which is not MHEV, no mild hybrid for the 8-volt ball with all others. Also then the D180 and also the D240, all-wheel drive and all with the new MHEV system. Now a lot to talk about the interior. Top part of the doors, inside soft touch, and then below that one you can get it in so-called Lux Tech. That's a new fabric. It really feels soft. It's like a mix of fabric and microfiber, somewhat in the middle, I would say. Really feels so premium, like, and among the best materials you can get for the interior in this segment. Also here then, used right there, really cool. Door pockets, quite slim. Then here an aerodynamic entry pack. What is interesting, and this really speaks for the whole vehicle, so many things, you know, like this insert of the doors and so on. So well done, best in segment. And then again, parts like those in the lower part, here to open the engine bay, this is like so cheaply done and it almost falls apart when you open it. New steering wheel, looks so great. There will be illuminated buttons when you turn on the ignition. Then microfiber steering wheel available, so well done. And when everyone says like, oh, it gets bad quite fastly, no, A, it does not. B, you can groom it to spice it up again. And C, When it's so bad after a couple of years, you can also replace it, but during that you had so much fun with this microfiber steering. It's the best you can do for the steering wheel. It feels great, it's cool in summer, it's warm in winter, it's just awesome. Definitely go for that. Then, and that's again so awesome with this vehicle, there are so many sustainable and animal-friendly choices for the seats available. It starts with the base fabric seats in black. Those ones are the optional fabric seats with eucalyptus parts, so even more sustainable from natural resources. And they are available in gray or black. And you can see here the LuxTech material here on the top part feels differently than the fabric on the lower part. They look great, they feel great, they give you great comfort. They are so premium, and it's a very good example that you can make a fabric seat really premium. And again, the advantages also just on the practical side, not only on the ethical side. They stay cool in summer and they stay warm in winter. The best seating choice you can have. Optional again, or let's say optional, so-called quadrat seats with 70% recycled PET bottles and 30% of wool. But that's again not completely animal free, and the wool industry is also very problematic, so I'm not sure if that's the best choice. I would actually go for exactly those ones. Maybe, you know, the color combination you can pick in, as I said, black or gray. But this is just amazing, and again, as for this respect, best in segment. Very comfortable seating position. However, you have to bear in mind that this one is a rather cramped cockpit position. Everything is built around you in a rather sporty style, and you have to like that. Taking a look here at the interior now, you start with the analog display and an optional those 12.3-inch digital ones. Here you can also see now how those buttons here are lit up, and this is a great quality here, for example, also for the volume. It feels very good, it gives you some kind of feedback, even nice clicking sounds, picking up the phone and so on. So that's very well done. We see a lot of integrated buttons now at steering wheels and so on, and this is actually now meanwhile the best execution. As we saw it the first time from Land Rover or Range Rover, it was not that well done. Here now a great execution. Shifting pedals right there. Then you get always this 10-inch screen. You can see now it is popped out, and when you shut down the car, after a while it goes back in position. You know that it's all aligned with the rest of the interior. Yeah, maybe a little bit complicated. And then this lower screen, actually, well, you can select the driving modes here with this jog. You can also click it here on the touch screen, that's possible. And the temperature is here on the right side, but that's a little bit hard to reach from here. You should come in from the other side, but that's also complicated. So not exactly sure what they thought about that. The digital instruments are quite nice. Left side with the digital speed and right side with the RPMs. In the middle part you can have some more information. And here we go with the head-up display, assistance systems info, current speed and loud speed, and very clear to read, a good addition. And now to the screen. So here we go with the GPS, and it's actually quite responsive, looks quite nice. As for the visualization, it's a high gloss screen, by the way, so the matte ones would be better against glaring of sun and so on, but this one looks cooler, so to say. The menu structure is not the easiest one. I mean, you have those hotkeys here, then you have the main menu right there. Still, I think it could be maybe a little bit more intuitive. This is the Apple CarPlay integration, Apple CarPlay, of course, with the cable, and then not wirelessly available yet. Android Auto is also available, and the music is actually quite cool with the Meridian sound system here. So nice quality, so like to listen to music here, and it's a good option to go for that. Now getting in the rear, and I have to let the engine running actually, and that the seat doesn't go back, so open door and engine running for that, so I can still have you like the realistic figure for the legroom, and that's still quite okay. You remember a slight increase in wheelbase also means a little bit more space in the rear, so it's actually quite okay. I mean, it's not the best offering overall, you still feel somewhat cramped here, but I mean, it's still okay. As for the legroom, and also as for the headroom with 1.86 m or 6'1", so still quite cozy, and for 4 tall adults it's okay, definitely. 610 to 1,430 liters it is in capacity, but what does that mean here for the trunk? The length here is about 83 centimeters, the width right there is a little bit more than the meter, so that's actually quite good. It's like, touching the steering wheel is like also like sitting on a nice sofa, so that's pretty cool. At the same time, it's sporty as for the touch. The only thing is that the steering itself, that one is not that sporty. It's quite light, but it doesn't give you, let's say, the best feeling. So when you go a little bit right and left, you don't feel so much connected to the road, so that's the thing. Feels quite light. It does change a little bit when you are in this dynamic mode. Then the throttle response is a little bit more crisp, and also the steering gets a little bit stiffer, so to say. But it also, when you have the adaptive suspension, which we have built in here, then also the suspension gets even stiffer. But it doesn't change the thing that you don't feel so much connected to the road, So, yeah, that's the thing. Overall, the car does feel more comfortable than the previous generation. The adaptive suspension gives you a little bit more comfort, yes. However, the car is still quite stiff, and when you're running over some bumps, it's better than in the previous generation, yes. But still, not the most comfortable, although we have those 18-inch winter tires mounted here, so 18-inch rims then as well. There are bigger ones available, which I would not recommend. Of course, they look somewhat kick-ass, especially in combination with this vehicle. But you have to know that when the suspension is already stiff, you should not go for bigger wheels because the ride will be even stiffer. What has significantly improved, and you will soon also hear that when we approach the motorway, is the noise insulation. This one is one of the most silent vehicles in the segment overall on the market in this segment. I was, really amazed by that. So driving high speeds on the motorway is so silent in here. That really fits to this premium touch and feel, also like with this Lux Tech material we talked earlier, the inside here of the doors and also at the seats, at the upper part and so on. So you really also while driving feel most exclusive in this vehicle as for everything you touch and feel, and also as for the noise insulation. And this is really the story of this vehicle. As I told you initially, there are so many things that are so well done, sometimes even best in segment. But then there are other things which are like, what did they have that done there, and close to sometimes worse in segment. So this is what this car, this is what it makes so interesting and also so emotional, that it's, it's not like a standard or like a mid-segment benchmark. It's like, going sideways in so many ways. Not dynamic driving wise, no, but yeah, I think you really get what I mean. And one of those things are, again, some consumption. It was a huge problem with the previous generation, and it is a little bit better than before. So when you pick a previous generation petrol engine, you could also directly buy a whole petrol station, and you would probably save some money by owning one. So here it's a little bit better, I would say, but yet again, they did so much to even improve that, like those integrated door handles, then that all of the engines except one of the manual hand drive, front wheel drive entry diesels, but all others have the 48 volt board net MHEV mild hybrid system. And then there's also this decoupling of the rear axle for the all-wheel drive, so that when you just need front-wheel drive, as it's happening in the normal driving situations, nothing, from the rear parts of the, of the rear axle and so on is, just spinning without. That's quite a lot of times with, let's say, older all-wheel drive systems on demand, that even if there's no power applied to the rear axle, to the rear wheels, there are still some parts spinning, which are, creating friction and, boosting the consumption. But here, and I've been driving pretty conservatively, also like a lot of motorway, and so far 9 liters on 1 kilometer. That's 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. That's still very bad. And again, this was like smooth driving, nothing real special. Talking about real special, let's go to this dynamic mode, and we can also put it here into this S shifting mode when turning the shifting lever, which is also beautifully covered with microfiber to the left side. And then we can have, let's say, the shifting process that is boosted up the most, 50 kilometers to 100. Let's go now. Plop. That's it. That was 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. And yeah, I mean, it was quite okay. 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 200 horsepower. Again, I really love it that they stick to a good naming system that you know, oh, a P200 has 200 horsepower. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Range Rover Evoque. Where from the exterior, a little bit more refined, not that dramatic as before, but still kept this rather iconic shape of the Evoque, which is still splitting a little bit in love or hate, that's for sure. On the interior, awesome materials available. It looks, you know, so great from the inside. It feels so great. So probably the best in segment as for the use of interior materials. Infotainment system could be maybe a little bit better, but you get the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so that doesn't matter that much then. But the lower input, yeah, especially while driving, a little bit too complicated, I think. Also, for example, also, you know, with the shifting, you know, that doesn't go that fast, front and back. You always have to, you know, use this click in the front. That could be a little bit better. So I explained to you earlier, great that we also have this microfiber steering wheel available, by the way, but the steering feel could be a little better. Also the fuel economy and also the comfort of the suspension. So driving dynamic wise, yeah, definitely not the best in segment, but the noise insulation is really great now. And indeed, this has been the story throughout this vehicle. So many things where it's really so extremely great, and other things where you say like, oh, that's a little bit doubtful. At the end of the day, this also makes this car very interesting. What do you think? Give me your opinions in the comments, and if you're already an Evoque owner, please also state your experience. Looking forward to that, and also see you at our next episode.